I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I don't have to hear you. I've already recorded my message. What is unique about Purim, especially for us at Shema Shariel, is the idea it's Torture the Rebbe Day. This is my payback. But it's also quite consistent with the very theme of Purim. You know, on Purim, we learn several things. Number one, not to take ourselves so seriously. It's one of the reasons why we dress up. It's one of the reasons why we put on outfits and costumes and we pretend to be somebody else. In the time of Esther, it wasn't good to be a Jew. Matter of fact, the problem really was that the Jews were a second-class, low-class people and were often despised by those of the kingdom. But Esther, who was a Jew secretly, passed herself off as a non-Jew, as a Gentile. And thus she became the queen. Now, the part about learning not to take yourself too seriously. Take Haman. Boo, boo, Haman, boo. The truth is, Haman took himself too seriously. He elevated himself too high. And because he took himself so seriously, his fall became far more obvious to everyone else. Haman was a man who had ambitions, but his ambitions were not according to the heart or the mind or even the will of God. So Haman, in all his seriousness, wound up paying the price of taking himself way too serious. Now, the idea of dressing up and wearing costumes is the idea that Queen Esther hid herself in many ways from the populace who did not know she was a Jew, who did not know that she was related to Mordecai. Yay, yay, Mordecai. And even Haman, boo, Haman, boo. Even Haman didn't know it. We learned several things from this. Number one, it's one of the reasons that we have the tradition that when we're not in the land of Israel, we actually wear our tzitzits on the inside. We don't expose ourselves to ridicule. And one of the things we also learn about the event with Haman is the fact that we're always in God's presence. I don't know if you noticed, but in the book of Esther, God is not mentioned even once. It's not because he isn't present. It's because it's assumed he's always present. It was never a thought or an issue that God would not be with him. So, for Esther, yay, yay. What a beauty. For Esther, you know, it was never a question. And for Mordecai, yay, yay, Mordecai. It was never a question. Because God is always with his people. Even when we're in the midst of our enemies. And people like Haman, boo, boo, Haman. People like Haman, who take themselves so seriously, don't realize that we are a privileged and protected people under God. Matter of fact, the only time harm has ever come to Israel is when they brought it upon themselves. And thus they quickly learned about their issues of sin and their covenant relationship with the Lord. So as we go through Purim and we eat our wonderful chamintashen, we say chamintashen, which is Haman's boo-boo. It's his hat. It was a three-corner hat, very much like those of the revolutionaries. But it's a three-corner hat cookie full of sweet marmalade and sweet pie filling. And the idea is that Haman, boo, even he gives us a reason to rejoice. He took himself too seriously. And thus, God took care of Haman. Now, Purim is like most of our holidays. It really is. They didn't like us. They tried to kill us. They lost. We won. Let's eat. This seems to be the repeating theme in Messianic Judaism and Judaism as far back as our history permits us to see. To be of the house of Israel, or to be attached to the house of Israel, is a privileged state. And the world needs to recognize that he who blesses Israel, God will bless. And he who curses Israel, God will curse. Thus is the lesson for the world. And for us, we must be worthy of a blessing by living out the Torah and keeping the commandments. Thus Mordecai, yay, yay, Mordecai. Thus Mordecai was just before the Lord, and God revealed to him a mystery, a secret, an avenue of escape through Queen Esther. Yay, yay, Esther. What a babe. Now, what do we learn through all this at Purim? Of course, we learned not to mess with Jewish women, as Haman did. Boo, boo, Haman. But we also did learn that God is always with his people, even if it's not verbally or visibly seen outwardly. God protects his own. And so you, who are of the household of faith, you need to realize that you sit in a good place today when you sit in the synagogue and you learn the story of Purim. Now, I guess it's time to let you make some more noise.